for taking the time to be here this evening with us for this very important kickoff event of the Albuquerque Collaborative on Police-Community Relations Stakeholder Dialogues. My name is Kathleen Owigan. I am the lead facilitator for a team of local, independent, professional facilitators and mediators who have been contracted by the city to facilitate these collaborative dialogues. Throughout this process, you will hear an emphasis on the word collaborative. This is for two reasons. One, because the city wants to draw from the largest base of wisdom possible to solve the challenges that we face, we are seeking your collaboration in sharing your wisdom to find the solutions that meet the needs of our community and those who serve our community. And number two, because the greatest success in resolving difficult situations comes from evoking and promoting a collaborative approach rather than a contentious or combative approach. To support a peaceful and collaborative approach to this meeting and the upcoming community dialogues, we will be implementing guidelines that you see posted on the walls and which are included in your handouts. They are to speak and listen with respect so that we can learn from one another, to be as concise as possible so that others have an opportunity to speak, to address the problem without attacking the person, to seek clarification before making assumptions, and finally, my personal favorite, seek solutions that meet everyone's needs. We ask you to respect and to follow these guidelines. We know that many of you may have comments that you would like to share this evening. We will not have time this evening to hear those comments. However, we hope that you will fill out one of the comment forms available at the sign-in table, place it in the comment collection box, and be assured that the Mayor's Office and the Office of Diversity and Human Rights and Alternative Dispute Resolution will read and consider your comments. This evening, you will hear from our mayor about his goals and intentions for the outcomes of these dialogues, as well as remarks from City Councilor Ken Sanchez and our police chief. Following that, Tyson Hummel, Alternative Dispute Resolution Coordinator for the City of Albuquerque, will explain more about the dialogue design, the phases of the work that we will be doing, and how you can participate. Members of the facilitation team are at the sign-in table and walking around the room. They're wearing name tags that identify themselves as part of the team. Feel free to ask them any questions that you may have. And now, Mayor Richard Berry.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathleen. And let me say this too. Tonight, as an organizational meeting, is about kind of setting the framework and things, but be assured, I'll stick around after the meeting. If somebody wants to chat personally, I'll be in the back of the room or whatever you want to do. And I had some good conversations earlier. Happy to do that. So just know that do the data gathering, but also know that I'll be around to have a conversation. So let me start by thanking everybody for taking your time to come tonight. This is an incredibly important issue in our city. It is an urgent issue in our city. And it is an issue that we simply cannot solve if it's just working with our police department alone or if it's just working with citizens alone. This has to be a collaborative effort. And we've had a lot happen in our city over the last year. And it really goes back a long way, decades in some people's minds. And because we find ourselves in a place where we have a tremendous challenge, I think we have a tremendous opportunity. And I just kind of want to spend a few minutes tonight explaining what my thought processes and my hopes are for this community collaborative. When we met in this building not long ago, in fact, this was one of the rooms, where we brought community members and some activists and others together with our police force and some of our police officers, we had a chance really for the first time to sit in a room and dialogue. And I want to thank all of our commanders and our command staff and officers who are here tonight for being here as well, along with our citizens. And it was really interesting to watch because when we got in the same room and we had a conversation together and we got a chance to ask tough questions and we got a chance to give honest answers about what is done and why and how we can improve the system. It was something for me that was an eye-opener. And so this is a process of trying to bring people and get everyone in the same room. Our goal with this is to build upon the technical side and the reforms that are being put together right now with the Department of Justice. And we have an agreement with the Department of Justice, not getting into a lot of detail, and I will honor that. But let me just say this. Our team is working with the DOJ on a regular basis. And you will be able to judge at some point what you think the agreement does, what the court enforceable agreement does. I don't want to prejudge that for you or for anybody else. But I can tell you, I'm extremely pleased as a mayor to see people sitting at the table, and it is not an easy process. It is not a fast process, and sometimes it's not a pretty process. But I am convinced that we have people at the table with the same goal in mind, and that is effective constitutional policing, making sure that we're safe in our community, making sure that people's constitutional rights are protected, making sure our officers can get home in safety at the end of the shift. And so I'm hopeful that when this comes through, you will recognize it as being thoughtful, well-crafted, and our goal is no short of trying to set a national standard for this kind of work. And I have I'm cautiously optimistic, and I have a lot of hope that that is where we're getting. And I'll leave it at that from a detail standpoint. But I'm also convinced that if that's where we stop, we're not going to be able to get where we want to go as a community. In cities that have done this, and we're about the 14th or 15th city, there's more to come, that have been through this process. Cities that have stopped there, I don't think have got to the point where they want to get. The cities that have succeeded and done better and have a system that's sustainable long after I'm the mayor, long after this is the chief, long after Mr. Sanchez is on the city council, long after when your grandkids are growing up here, whatever it happens to be. We have a system that's been sustainable. And this system is designed to do that so that we can get our department and our community together to come up with another agreement, which is really kind of what this is about. And I'll let you all decide what the final form of that looks like. But the way I understand the process is we'll get groups together, we'll let you self-identify if you want to be in a specific group. Whether that's a family that has had a loved one that's been involved in an officer-involved shooting, whether that's a police officer in your family, whether that's the faith-based community. We've got folks here tonight from the mental health community. If you want to mix and commingle that, that's fine. If you want your individual groups, that's fine too. We have, 10 plus, maybe 15 professional facilitators. And so after tonight, I don't want to get too much, so I'll let the experts tell you about the details, but we'll break up and then we will gather data. This is a cold term, I don't like the term, but we'll get your opinions, we'll get your thoughts, your hopes, your aspirations, what goals you think are important in this process. We will have the university, Paul Gehring, Dr. Gehring is back here. He and his group, we want this information not coming to the mayor's office or the city council. We want an independent third party to put this together and then get back with you and let you know not only what you said, because you know that, but what your friends and neighbors in our community said. And then come up with an understanding of what the goals are, what the expectations are. And in that meeting we had with the DOJ that day, one of the gentlemen that's a retired detective, I think from San Francisco, we wrote on a whiteboard, and he said, tell me some words you think are important in this process. Of course, respect came up, safety came up, constitutionality came up. But he said, nobody here said the key word. And he took a magic marker and he wrote on there expectations. He said, until you, as a community, I'm paraphrasing, I won't quote him, get an understanding of what those expectations are, both from an officer standpoint and from a community standpoint. He said that is a point where you want to get as a community. And so that's what this is all about. And it won't be a fast process either. It'll take several months to do this, but we want to do it right. I believe we'll have some more other work done prior to this work being done. But we need your help. We can't do this by ourselves. So thank you for being here. We'll be available for questions as well. All the other speakers speak tonight, but I just want to really tell you how grateful I am that you would come here and share with us through this process, because, as I said, we need your help and we can't do it without you. So thank you for being here. Yes, I'm in charge of introducing our city council president, Ken Sanchez.
Thank you, Mayor Berry. Chief Eden, thank you very much. It is truly an honor to be standing here today representing the Albuquerque City Council on this collaborative effort. There are those defining moments in our history that we will never forget. One of those defining moments was in 1789 when the Constitution was ratified and George Washington was elected our first president. Here we are as a city today, 225 years later, trying to make sure and deal with civil rights violations among members of our community. And I'm so very grateful to see so many police officers that are here this evening, because if this collaboration is going to work, we must engage members of the Albuquerque Police Department, rank and file, the upper management of the police department, our chief, but it's going to take a collaborative effort. And I want to thank Ken Ellis and Mike Gomez for being here. I know they've been to many, many council meetings over the years, 4 or 5 years, talking about these issues. And now we are going to have a consent decree in the very, very near future. And that consent is going to be, I think, critical to the city and the engagement of the community and the police department. But I think more importantly, with this collaborative, that we can go beyond what the consent decree is saying, and we can bring recommendations, and the police department can also bring recommendations in making sure that we have one of the finest police departments in this country. I believe the men and women that serve in the Albuquerque Police Department, they have a very, very tough and difficult job. At the same time, we've had some problems within the police department that has been recognized by the Department of Justice. But I truly believe, united as a community, there is very little that we cannot do, and we have a major task ahead of us. This is not going to be easy. We are looking at probably $6 million a year in our budget to pay for the recommendations that's going to be sent down by the Department of Justice, and it's going to probably be $4 to $5 million thereafter. I'm also very pleased to see Judge Nash is also here with us this evening. I know that she used to go out to the Police Academy and train officers as a judge, and thank you very much for your participation. I know you've been to several City Council meetings, Judge, and Bill, thank you for your participation here this evening. But again, this is not going to be an easy task. It's going to be a very, very expensive proposition task. And I will ask the mayor and the chief, if the DOJ recommends that it's going to take $6 million a year to implement some of the recommendations and changes, we as a council must provide that in the budget, and I've talked to members of the city council. We cannot cut corners in any way. We've got to do this, and we've got to do this right, because we are not going to get a second chance. I think the most important thing is bringing back the trust that the men and women of our Albuquerque Police Department deserve. Each and every day they put their lives on the line for the citizens of this community. And like I said a minute ago, it's not an easy job. I have a family member who was a member of the Albuquerque Police Department, and he loves his job, and he takes it very seriously. And again, we must make sure that we support our department, and at the same time, if our officers are doing wrong, they must be disciplined and if necessary, be terminated. And I will entrust our leaders of the department to do the right thing for the Albuquerque Police Department. Like I said, we will not, and we cannot, and won't get a second chance. I want to thank Mr. Greenwood. I know that we've taken some criticism as a city council for hiring Mr. Greenwood as the attorney. I think with his background in civil rights, that he has done a very, very good job in working with the Department of Justice and also working with Chief Eden. Mr. Greenwood told me that Mr. Eden was at each and every one of the meetings with the Department of Justice, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take leadership. It's going to take our leaders to be at the table at every step of the way. We just cannot afford our chief to be sitting in the back. He needs to be out in the forefront with the community. And the most important thing, please, we want the community to be engaged and to be involved, as Ken Ellis was and Mike Gomez for many, many years, and a lot of the other people that are here this evening. But let's do this in a collaborative way. Let's do this in a civil way. I know, I apologize for having to kick people out of city council meetings. I know these emotions get very high at times. But again, I think working together in collaboration that we can move our city forward. And this will be a police department that we as citizens of this community will be proud of. Thank you.
I didn't realize I was going to be the MC. I apologize. So with that, I would like to bring up Chief of Police Courtney Chief?
Well, good evening and welcome, and I sincerely hope that the end result of these collaborative meetings is one that's good for our community. One of the things that I want everyone to understand is that we are fully committed, and I say this from the Albuquerque Police Department, we are fully committed to the collaborative efforts that are going on right now with the city of Albuquerque. We are fully committed to the legislation that has been passed by City Council, and we are fully committed to implementing our community policing councils, which is separate from this. All of this is part of our commitment to the community and to our police department to become one, that we understand each other, that we actively participate in listening, and we actively participate in coming up with mutual solutions. As I look around the room, I see many faces that I recognize from our mental health collaborative meetings, which have been some of the most productive meetings I've ever attended in my life. And if you have not been part of that, you really missed a great opportunity to have people from all over the city participate in those collaborative meetings. This is just another one of those very, very important collaborative meetings. I had no idea until yesterday when we sat down with Dr. Roth from the University of New Mexico, some of the issues that we face in our community from the medical side. And if we cannot bring together the medical professionals, the people that work in our faith-based communities, bring together APD Forward, and bring together the police department to sit down and have good listening and collaborative efforts, we can't do it by ourselves. And I want you to know that. And we cannot do it without the support of the community. And we pledge our full support to these collaborative efforts. So I want to thank the guests, the many guests that are here tonight. I also want to thank the men and women of the Albuquerque Police Department, the entire command staff, the area commanders, the lieutenants that serve the area commands, the commanders that work over our specialty units. Every single one of them is here. And the only one that isn't here is because he is injured and cannot be here. So I want you to know that that is the commitment from the police department, that we will be at the table with you as we continue to move forward. And again, I would like to thank those groups that we've already met with. We've had 3 very productive meetings with APD Forward, and we look forward to those continued dialogues. So thank you for your commitment to our community, our city, where it's a city we should all be proud of. I know I'm proud of it. I've lived here all but 2 years of my adult life. I love this city, and I am committed to you, the citizens of the city of Albuquerque. So thank you so very much for being here tonight.
So, because tonight's an organizational meeting, I want to bring Tyson Hummel up. Tyson is an alternative dispute resolution coordinator for this project. And Tyson, will you also introduce some of the other facilitators that are here, or can we, or you plan on doing that? Right, so let's let Tyson talk a little bit about what happens after tonight, because tonight's the first get-together. We'll talk about the processes. I know that we just talked about not saying the word process, I apologize, but now I want to talk to people about what happens after this so that we can get these dialogues moving in the direction that we want. So with that, let me introduce Tyson Hummel.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tyson Hummel. I'm the Alternative Dispute Resolution Coordinator for the city. And I, for one, am thrilled to be here tonight as a husband and a father. I think I broke my guess. That's all right. I'll take that on my check. Sweet. Okay. I'm going to lean in close enough so you guys can move a little bit. Okay, so I, for one, am thrilled to be here tonight. As a husband and father, I really feel like our city's going to be better for this in the long run. And a lot of people have been asking for this and needing this for a very long time. So I'm very excited that we're going to be able to have these collaborative dialogues that are inclusive from the ground up of all people and not a top-down policy decision from on high. Generally, my role throughout this process is going to be to help manage and to administer the ongoing dialogues that we're going to have. We're going to have a whole series of them, and we're going to tailor each one to try to fit the needs of specific stakeholder groups or interested groups in the community. The mayor has pointed out that these groups may be faith-based, aggrieved families, first responders, faith-based community, underserved, nonprofits, a whole slew of different types of stakeholders. And my goal for this evening is to explain the structural blueprint for the Albuquerque Collaborative and try to give you a better understanding of how you can get involved personally and what you can expect if you do choose to participate. So what is a collaborative? Well, I can tell you that it's more than a three-phase series of initiatives to improve community relations. It's much more than that. This initiative is special because it has been designed from the ground up to be inclusive as possible, to harvest the most diverse cross-section of opinions, input possible, and to ensure that all citizens who wish to participate are allowed the opportunity to voice their concerns and to make their voices heard. Make no mistake, this is a fresh start for all of us to redefine the ways that we interact with each other throughout our community. Now, when you signed in, you should have been given, I guess, an example program. This is actually the program that's going to be for our first collaborative dialogue, which is going to take place next Monday, this coming Monday, the 27th. And if you look on the back, there's three phases of our collaborative process that are laid out there. And you might want to follow along as a reference as I go through these. So, beginning this coming Monday, we'll begin the first phase of the collaborative, which is what we like to call listening. Our goal in this phase is going to be to harvest as much information about what issues, concerns, and points of agreement that we can identify within our city, within the various stakeholder groups. Each group or each facilitated dialogue will be hosted by professional, third-party ADR professionals who will help guide the process, collect data, and make reports to data collection specialists at UNM to help make sure that we capture all of the needs and concerns of those in our community. Moving on to phase 2, after the phase 1 is completed, we will have the third-party data collection people at UNM issue reports and find the commonalities among the different concerns and issues that we're facing as a community. And in that process, the stakeholder groups will nominate and select representatives who will then go back to the data collected from phase 1 and come to action plans and agreements and make by consensus, collaboratively make a plan for how we would like to see change take place in our community. At the end of that, again, we would like to see an action plan implemented. So in phase 3 of this collaborative process, then we will move on and eventually have monitoring committees to help oversee this process and make sure that it's implemented correctly. So with that being said, I know that there's going to be questions about the processes and the procedures that are to be involved in this and the specifics about the actual collaborative process. So if you'd like to, please step up to the microphones by either side of the stage. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions of us now, and we'd be happy to field those for you. sorry. Monday night, our first collaborative meeting is for the mental health community, advocates and providers. It's going to be from 6 to 9 at North Domingo Baca Communities, our multi-generational center. You can register for any of our future dialogues online at the City of Albuquerque's website. If you scroll to the bottom, you will see a picture of our mayor, and it's called Mayor's Corner. Go up there, and there's a link there to get involved with the registration process. You can also register in person here via the hard copies at the front desk. Do we have any questions? Sure.
Nice, thank you so much. So, if you have questions about when, where, how this is working, please come up tonight. Like I said, I'll stick around tonight as well. Chief will too, if you want to talk to us individually, one-on-one. I also want to make a couple of other introductions. Some of you know Gabe Campos. Gabe's in the back. Gabe is a gentleman I brought in. He leads our Human Rights Office at the City of Albuquerque. We didn't really have a Human Rights Office a couple of years ago. We had one before and it went away, and then we rebuilt it after we came into the mayor's office. Annabelle Romero is also the Deputy Director of Human Rights. She is here as well. They'll be around too if you want to get their contact information. I know a lot of our area commanders are here. A lot of our leadership team is here as well. So does anybody tonight want to spend any time on the details here, on when and where? There's a list, if you identify a stakeholder group, absolutely we want you at that meeting, but also please understand, you're invited to every single meeting. So if you're not traditionally, and Chief Eden mentioned it, we've had a wonderful collaborative conversation about mental health issues in our community over the last year. And if you want, even if you self-identify in a different group, if you want to come join in, we'd love to have you. If you're one of our facilitators, could you stand up and kind of punch yourself out here in the room today? So all the facilitators are waiting in the room. These are all folks that have been trained or professional, you can call alternative dispute resolution professionals. Kat is the young lady that introduced herself earlier. She'll be here for questions as well. So feel free to ask questions now if you want, or if you just want to break up and just have a conversation, we can do that as well. If nobody's lined up for questions, we can go that route if you want to do that, or mic's open as well.
What kind of data are you looking for? What kind of questions, what information are you going to be gathering?
Okay, so the gentleman asked, what kind of data are we looking for, and what kind of data will we be collecting? That is actually your decision. We have professional folks from UNM that are experts in data. We can ask questions, specific questions about gauging things on scales and do that, but we also really want your input. This is a point in time where we want your ideas. If there's something that you've heard that's proposed, we'll be the first department in the country, for example, that will have 100% of our officers crisis intervention trained, 80 hours of training. If you think that's great, let us know. If you think it doesn't go far enough, let us know. We've changed some policies and procedures. Somewhere through this process, the court enforceable agreement may come through. Let us know. Give us input, give us data. Give us things that you've thought about that you think would be better for community policing. Police officers, we're asking them, give us ideas from your standpoint, and your families. What is it that we can do better? This is about expectations, it's about goal setting. Tell us your aspirations. We'd all love to have 0 officer-involved shootings, right? That would be a goal. I don't know if any city in the country has ever gotten to that point, but make no mistake, policing around the country, it's not just an Albuquerque discussion right now. It's a national discussion about this. We've heard about the militarization of police. We've heard about all kinds of different issues. Let us know what you're thinking, and our facilitators are especially trained to try to get the conversations going so that we can, so I don't want to tell you, I don't want to dictate to the mayor what you tell us. Give us your data. Give us your data.
And also, if I could...
Kat, go ahead.
I don't know if this is on, but I can project. So if you look inside the dialogue handout that you have, you will see the agenda on the right-hand side of the inside of that dialogue handout. Those will be the questions that we will be asking that we need to get data for, and we also will be open to hearing other ideas from you. But those will be the starting point questions. And you'll see that they have to do with the nature of interactions, the nature of relationship that is desired between our community members and those who serve our community, our police officers, who, by the way, somebody once reminded me, are community members too. So those are where we will start, and then we can go from there to get more information that you need to share that we don't anticipate in those questions.
Yes, ma'am. Did we have a mic, or I can try to re-ask the question?
We have, if we were,
I think the mic's glued to the floor. Yes, ma'am.
So you mentioned that there have been several, I believe you used the word, meetings with ABQ Forward, whatever the organization is called. Where are these meetings going on? Are these just meetings with the leadership, or how is it that the community has been brought in up to this point, or are they not? Is this the first opportunity?
Not the first opportunity, maybe for some of you, the first meeting you've been to, but there's been several before that. We try to publicize them as best we can in the newspaper and through media and other things. Chief, where were your meetings with ABQ Forward? Where were those held? And I've met with the group as well in my office, actually. But I don't know, Chief.
Sure. We've actually met with ABQ Forward in many different locations, including our last one was at Healthcare for the Homeless. So what I do is communicate to the leadership from ABQ Forward. We try to work out a date where they can get as many of their members there, and then we work through ABQ Forward to schedule those meetings.
Well, as a member of ABQ Forward, I have never received any information. I have my email, my phone number. I have never received a piece of information from ABQ Forward, just as an FYI.
Am I mistaken? I think my Office of Human Rights was on the phone with you today, emailing, weren't they?
That's the first time I
Okay,
got any
I just want to make sure we've got the points of
information.
contact.
But
Okay.
I went to the very original first ABQ Forward meeting, signed up, and now you're told that you're having these meetings all over town, and some of us are never been told about.
Well, let's do this, like after today, let's maybe try to make, I don't have any authority over ABQ Forward, we just want to meet, but maybe we could try to help build that connection so that the email list for them are current, and Gabe and Annabelle can also. Yes, sir.
I heard about this meeting this evening
Yes.
at 5 o'clock on Channel 13 for the Channel 7 News. So I've seen how I missed a couple of times, I'm just saying, so it took me a while to get down.
Yes, sir.
But do you consider an hour before the meeting started a good enough time to inform the general public?
Well, and then, once again, that's one of the challenges, so it wasn't an hour before, that's when, that's when we've had it on our website, we've had our Human Rights Office reach out.
I don't have a website.
Gotcha, so what we're trying
I don't
to,
take the newspaper.
Right.
I watch the local news.
good,
It was the first time it was mentioned was tonight.
okay, and I think,
We should have a little bit more warning on this thing.
well, once again, we agree, and we think, we've had this conversation, we've had some, we call it earned media, and we count on our friends in the media to try to get the word out, whether it's in the paper or the newscast. So, once again, tonight's an organizational meeting, and this is where we can also use your help. We don't have big PR budgets at the city, so we have friends that let us put it up on billboards and PSAs and things like that. We'll continue to do that, but the best way to do that is also to build this network and let friends and neighbors that you know, since you're here tonight. That's why we decided tonight was going to be about organization, not about dialogue, so that when we run into these kind of situations, we can try to get it out there. So we put it on the normal places, on websites, and try to get the earned media, and we'll try to keep pushing that forward. Yes,
You
sir.
were on TV tonight cutting some ribbon to some building that just got done reconstruction.
It was this building. Yes, sir.
Why did you get such instant coverage on something that's not going to happen in the first place? Because there's more people leaving the state than are moving in, and most of them are natives, the ones that are moving out, because of the problem that we've got here in Albuquerque. I'm a native. I was drafted out of this state. I fought for this state. And these guys that you've got in this police department are despicable.
Well, once again, this is why we're having this dialogue, is to allow individuals in our community to express their opinions, their viewpoints. What I also invite you to do is come with we want your opinion. We also want what you think the solutions are. And so after tonight, like on Monday evening, so tonight when you leave, you'll have a good advance notice of whether it's Monday night's meeting or the meetings after that. We'll make sure that we get your best contact information we can. And please come and share both. Share your thoughts, your concerns, or ask the people, give us your ideas too. What do you think would make it better? Does anybody, yes?
You've got several efforts going on. You've got APD Forward, you've got community policing councils, the DOJ formal negotiations will be concluded, and this collaborative process. What's the process to try to merge those recommendations that will be coming out?
That's what we're trying to use this process to do. We really respect and appreciate the work that APD Forward and other groups around town. We've got coalition meetings that are happening around town. So the idea is, how do we take all of this information and try to compile it? So this effort is what that is about. We don't want to dictate how anybody does their process or their thing with their group. We want that to be individually happening in our community. At some point, we have to funnel that information, and we have to pull it into what this community collaborative is supposed to do. And other cities have done this, and this is where we need that. So we'll have the official documents and the training and the accountability measures. But if we can come up with an agreement amongst our citizens and our department about what we expect, what we think is the right thing to do, what our goals and our aspirations are, and then how we are going to judge as a community and as a department if we're meeting those goals over time. That's what this is about. Some cities have done this through different processes, but the end result is always the same. So we don't anticipate that this is going to end anybody else's group, but if we can take all of that energy and information and put it together in a document and compile it. And then, I don't know if you noticed, but when we're talking about how this works, you will give individual information on the group that you self-identify with, whether that's, as I said, grieved families, whether that's police officers themselves. It could be any number. We're not going to dictate how many that can be. We're going to tell you through UNM and through this process that they have of putting data together. We're going to tell you what your group said, as I said earlier, but you know what that is. We're also going to tell you what the other groups. And it's not as simple to say walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. That's not really the point. But in some ways, that kind of is the point. Let's find out what different individual groups in our community think and feel, share that with each other, and then we'll bring leadership from each of the groups together and try to craft whatever you want to call it, a resolution, an understanding, so that we have that as a community. And then when we as we go through working on the reforms, as we go through community policing and in the CPC councils, we have something that we can say, in 2014, this is what we talked about as a community. This is what we agreed on. And based on what we saw 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now, that doesn't pass muster with what we agreed to in 2014. So it's setting that, trying to set a basis point as a community moving forward. Yes, sir, Mr. Gould.
All that's going on here, it's good, but do you feel that the Albuquerque Police Department has a problem?
I feel that we have, challenges in our community. We have a findings letter from the Department of Justice that outlines some behaviors that are unconstitutional. We have some situations in our community that we need to address. We do have those challenges. And as the mayor, that's why we're doing this. That's why we started in our first term, working on reforms. Didn't get where we wanted to get at this point. But we are continuing to work on this, and we are at the table fully engaged exactly because we think we have challenges that need to be met.
Well, I thought it was a yes or no question. Do you think the Albuquerque Police Department has problems?
Well, once again, I've said
yes
over and over
no,
again.
Mayor Barry?
Well, Mr. Gomez, I appreciate your conversation, but I'm willing to answer your question, but I have to answer it in a way that I'm comfortable answering. And so we do think there's a lot of effort going into this because we feel like we've got challenges and we're working towards those goals diligently and urgently. We are. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Jones, working on the visitor to Albuquerque.
Yes, sir.
Albuquerque has a major problem with drugs, alcohol, plus mental health. And it's a problem with the police trying to deal with people like this. Now, how do you deal with a person that got mental health problems, either alcohol or a drug addict? And it's responsibility of the police people. And we know that the police department is not perfect. But what we should be doing is try to heal from the past and right now try to heal the problems that existed in the past and probably still do. And for us to already and disagree and form frameworks at different ages that don't have a problem.
Well, thank you. Thanks for your comments. And that's why there's no one thing we can do here. It's got to be all these things put together, and then we have to craft them and put them into one overarching solution as best we can. That's why we've had a year at the request of the White House and others, Main Street discussions about mental health. We've got folks here today talking about it. We talked about it in the forum yesterday. It is about reforms, and it is about challenges, and it is about effective and constitutional policing. But it's also about helping our friends and neighbors that find themselves in a situation which is rare, and I always say this, mental health issues is not equal violence. But in those rare cases where someone is in mental health crisis and has a propensity to do harm to themselves or others, we have to find better solutions so that our officers and these individuals don't find themselves face to face in a crisis situation. It's not a simple, one-size-fits-all solution. But I think we're on the right track, and just by judging from tonight, people coming and willing to have a kickoff dialogue like this is encouraging to me. So listen, I don't see any other hands up. Why don't we spend some time, I know our officers will stick around if you want to talk to some of our officers or if some of our community members want to discuss. If you want to talk to some of our facilitators, if you want to talk to Council President Sanchez, I think he's willing to stick around as well as Chief Eden. And I just want to say thank you for coming. We are taking this out, so this is not a mayor's process, it's not a city council's process, it's your process. You put the resources in place to make it your process. Please spread the word, be engaged, help us with this process. So thank you again for coming this evening.